How does a nation that vanished from European maps for 123 years keep its kings buried in the same cathedral? Poland's borders shifted, its name disappeared, its cities changed hands between empires, yet the coronation site at Wawel never moved. The answer begins on this limestone hill above the Vistula, where every Polish monarch was crowned and laid to rest for 5 centuries. Far to the south, the Tatra Mountains form the highest range in the entire Carpathian chain. These granite peaks rise sharply along the Slovak border, and below them sits Zakopane, Poland's most visited mountain resort. The town fills each winter with skiers and each summer with hikers heading into Tatra National Park. The park safeguards alpine meadows and species found nowhere else in the country. For most Poles, this is where the mountains begin. The peak above Zakopane is called Giewont, and locals know it as the Sleeping Knight because its ridgeline resembles a reclining figure in armor. At dusk in winter, the town's lights spread across the valley floor, while snow clings to the summit above. A stone trail through pine forest leads to Morskie Oka, the largest lake in the Tatras, sitting at nearly 1,400 meters above sea level. Northeast of the Tatras, the Dunajec River carves a gorge through limestone cliffs, forming a natural border between Poland and Slovakia. For over 150 years, boatmen have guided wooden rafts through these rapids, a tradition that began as a way to transport timber downstream. Tatra National Park, one of the smallest in Poland, protects this stretch of riverbank. The cliffs rise steeply on both sides, covered in dense beech and fir forest. On the opposite end of the country, the Karkonosze Range straddles the Polish-Czech border. Its highest summit, Śnieżka, rises to 1,603 meters. A saucer-shaped meteorological observatory built in the 1960s sits on the bare rocky top, measuring wind and temperature year-round. Far to the north, where the land meets the Baltic Sea, Słowinski National Park protects a stretch of coastline unlike anywhere else in Poland. Wind pushes sand inland from the beach, forming shifting dunes that can climb more than 30 meters high. These dunes move several meters each year, burying pine trees as they advance. Behind the dunes lie shallow lakes and marshlands that attract thousands of migratory birds each season. Poland's Baltic coastline runs for over 500 kilometers. Along it stands the Gdańsk Lighthouse, a red brick tower nearly 50 meters tall, rising above the pine forests that fringe the shore. Fishermen and cargo ships have relied on its light for decades. East along the coast lies Sopot, a seaside resort that grew up around warm springs and sandy beaches in the 19th century. Its wooden pier extends more than 500 meters into the Baltic, making it the longest of its kind in Europe. Sopot forms part of the Tri-City area with Gdańsk and Gdynia. The red brick tower of St. George Church rises above Sopot's rooftops. Built in Gothic Revival style, it reflects the resort's 19th century prosperity, when spa visitors from across Prussia and Germany came to walk the promenade and bathe in the sea. Nearby Gdańsk was one of the wealthiest ports in the Hanseatic League, the medieval trading network that dominated Northern Europe. The Basilica of St. Mary, one of the largest brick churches in the world, dominates the Old Town skyline. Its sheer scale testifies to the grain, timber, and amber that passed through this harbor. Much of the Old Town was reduced to rubble in 1945. Residents spent decades rebuilding the streets, facades, and churches brick by brick, working from pre-war photographs and paintings that had survived the destruction. The Motława River flows through the heart of historic Gdańsk. Its waterfront has served as a trading hub since medieval times, when merchants unloaded salt, wine, and cloth at the quaysides. The canals branching from the river still follow their original medieval course. Along the Motława embankment, the Long Market serves as Gdańsk's main street. The merchant houses here display Dutch Mannerist architecture, with narrow facades, ornate gables, and decorative parapets. Wealthy traders built them in the 16th and 17th centuries, when Gdańsk handled most of Poland's sea trade and ranked among the richest cities on the Baltic. Up the river from Gdańsk stands Malbork, the largest castle in the world by land area. The Teutonic Knights began building this red brick fortress in the 13th century as their headquarters during the Northern Crusades. Its 3 connected castles, high, middle, and low, held thousands of soldiers, horses, and supplies behind walls several meters thick. After the Knights' defeat at Grunwald in 1410, the castle passed to Polish control. Today, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, its brick towers and gatehouses still intact along the Nogat River. Warsaw, the capital, suffered near total destruction during World War II. German forces leveled the Old Town in 1944 after the Warsaw Uprising. After the war, residents rebuilt the entire district by hand, using pre-war paintings, architectural drawings, and photographs as guides. The reconstruction was so thorough that UNESCO inscribed the Old Town as a World Heritage Site in 1980. Today, its pastel facades, cobblestone alleys, and Gothic cathedral stand again above the Vistula, bordered by a modern skyline of glass towers. The Palace of Culture and Science rises 237 meters above central Warsaw. The Soviet Union gifted it to Poland in 1955, and for decades it ranked as the tallest building in the country. Since the 1990s, glass skyscrapers have crowded around it, transforming the skyline. The palace still holds theaters, museums, and offices, and its observation deck gives a clear view across the flat Mazovian plain on which Warsaw was built. The Wieliczka, Poland's longest river at over 1,000 kilometers, divides Warsaw into two halves. The Świętokrzyski Bridge connects them, its cables lit against the evening sky. West of Warsaw, Wrocław spreads across islands in the Odra River, connected by more than 100 bridges. Its market square ranks among the largest medieval squares in Europe. The Gothic town hall anchors the center with its clock tower and ornate portal. Around it stand rows of tenement houses painted in bright colors. Wrocław is also known for hundreds of small bronze dwarf sculptures scattered through the streets, a tradition that began as an anti-communist protest in the 1980s and became a permanent feature of the city. Poznan, one of Poland's oldest cities, was founded in the 10th century on the Warta River. Its old market square hosts daily trade and seasonal festivals. The Renaissance town hall features arcaded loggias and a clock tower, whose mechanical goats butt heads at noon each day. The surrounding merchant houses, rebuilt after wartime damage, follow the colorful facades and stepped roofs that defined Polish market squares for centuries. Torun, a medieval trading settlement on the Vistula, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The astronomer Nicolaus Copernicus was born here in 1473. Its old town retains the original medieval street layout, with Gothic brick churches, granaries, and sections of defensive wall still standing along the riverbank. Near Krakow, the Wieliczka salt mine operated continuously from the 13th century until 2007. Miners carved over 300 kilometers of tunnels into the rock salt beneath the town. Underground, they also carved chapels, altarpieces, and full relief sculptures, including a version of the Last Supper cut directly into a salt wall. The mine is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Above ground, the Danilevich shaft building still marks the main entrance, its brick tower standing over the town square of Wieliczka. In Katowice, the Nikiszowiec district was built for coal miners in the early 1900s with uniform red brick apartment blocks. Agriculture remains a significant part of Poland's economy. The country ranks among the largest producers of wheat and rapeseed in the European Union. In the south, Ojców National Park protects limestone rock formations, including the Machuga Herkulesa, a tall pillar rising from the valley floor. Nearby, Piskowa Skała Castle sits on a cliff above these same rocks. Poland's rivers still flow the same courses they did when kings ruled from Wawel. The Nida winds through morning mist, quiet and unchanged.